4/18. Legislation proposed, 111401. An ordinance to reappropriate for the expenses of the city of East Lake, state of Ohio, for the period beginning January 1, 2023, and ending December 31st, 2023, and declaring an emergency. Commissioner Dunn?
Thank you. The general fund had a little extra in income taxes this year because of our ability to control costs and really ability to control costs. So I'm actually asking that we reduce the income tax. The engineering for 210 for those designs, maybe not design, it's not the design, but it's the discussion, the next step in the process. So we talked about this at the last meeting. 200,000 is approximately what the request was to go to this next step. And since we hadn't planned on it, we hadn't budgeted it, I'm asking that you allocate the 200,000 for the engineering cost.
Any questions? Go ahead. Sorry.
The $6,000 is for the part-time help from the summer. We have the ability to keep them a little longer, so that will just cover their costs. They are part-time summer help. Extended into cutting, etc. Or, for the city land.
Can you please use the microphone?
I'm sorry, I'm talking with the microphone on. So the police, law enforcement, and I'm sick, so I'm sorry if I'm not projecting very well. Police law enforcement, that actually relates to legislation, I believe it's number 5. Yes, that relates to number 5. So as we get to number 5, what it is a request for vehicles and some other additional large item repairs that we need to do. If you get to miscellaneous government expense, that $1,008,000. That $1,008,000 needs to come out of the general fund, needs to go to the road levy fund. The Vine Street project that was approved, which is $3.5 million, I believe it is. Tom will be right there telling me exactly how much it is. But the Vine Street project, yes, the $3.275640 total cost project. It's going to be managed by the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio is going to put in $1,680,000. State of Ohio is asking us to come up with $1.8 million to complete this project. They want it in cash, and they're going to be sending us the bill in December. So it's something that we planned on. It's something we knew about. But we hadn't planned on it for December. We planned on it for the spring of 24. But if I'm getting the bill now, I prefer to pay for it when the bill comes in and not drag our feet on this and cause any wrinkles with the state. So what we're doing is asking you to approve, and there's a transfer in here, $1.8 million, so that the road levy fund can write this check. Road levy fund will record that as income, and road levy will record the expense out to the state for $1.8 million.
Any questions, Commissioner? None. Next, 111402, resolution. The Director of Finance transfer funds with said funds to be transferred from Fund 101 General Fund to the amount as listed in the Fund 803 Safety Center Fund, as well as transfer from Fund 101 General Fund into the amount as listed in the Fund 402 Road Levy Fund and declaring an emergency. Let's discuss that.
Thank you. The second half of that 1.8, we discussed it. This is the Vine Street check. I got to give it to the state. Okay. The first one, the 1.88306.50. We received some funds in the last couple of years that was one-time only funds. One-time only should not be used for operating purposes. One-time only should be used for capital type projects. I'm asking that you consider placing this into a board designated, council designated. You change your mind tomorrow, you cannot do it. You decide tomorrow you want to put it somewhere else, you can do that. This is council designated funds. Basically, it says I can spend it. No, none of those guys can spend it. So setting it aside. And I thought it might be appropriate to discuss at this point in time that we put into a safety center fund. You and I know there's going to be costs. Whether you go forward with it or not, there's going to be some outlay of costs. This would fund that with your approval. So that's the purpose of the $1,883,066.6. That is exactly what's sitting in that fund, or in our account. That is one time only, from a very specific purpose, that you can designate for a specific purpose.
Any questions, Commissioner? Seeing none, move on to 111403, a resolution authorizing the mayor and director of finance to accept a donation for $500 from Knight's Ride Auto Wholesale located at East 367th Street, Eastlake, Ohio, 44905, on behalf of the city of Eastlake Fire Department declaring an emergency.
So we received a donation, from that organization. Basically it was, something called Need the Support for him to do. We definitely appreciated him reaching out to us, so I sent it over to finance and be willing to accept that. Usually what we do with donations, is we have actually a donation fund that's kind of tagged on to smoke detectors and also like, residential lot boxes. So we use that money in that donation to make purchases for residential lot boxes and things. So, I did send a big card out to the dealership, and it was, again, obviously something like the community relationship with the services and support. So definitely appreciate you reaching out to us and giving that donation.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the clerk, please? Seeing none, move on to 111404. A resolution authorizing the mayor and director of finance to purchase a 2024 Chevy Silverado 2500 HD work truck for use for the Eastlake Fire Department from Serpentini Auto Group for the total amount of $54,245, declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this was actually in our 2023 budget. We kind of slow played a little bit based on inventory, and I think what we were kind of hoping that if we waited to the last quarter, we would be able to get ourselves to 2024, and we were able to do that. So with our budget, and it's fair to say that part of that budget was we still have to get lights, we get stripes and stuff like that. So we'll have additional costs on top of that before, but that was part of the original budget, and the amount we put in finance, so that's just the cost of the truck. So we were able to get what we were looking for, again, based on that 2023 budget.
Any questions on the clerk sheet? Seeing none. Next, 111405, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor and director of finance to purchase two 2023 Chevy Tahoe vehicles from Tim Riley Chevrolet, SABA, for the use of the Eastlake Police Department, a total of $113,811, declaring an emergency.
We have two cars in our lot that have been purchased already, which will hopefully be outfitted early December through the fall. That's always been our process. We buy from the state bid or lower, and we bring them back. We outfit them ourselves using the outfitter haul. This haul's gotten bigger. We're the same. So instead of being a medium fish in their pond, we're kind of a small fish, and waiting 4 or 5 months to get things done. It used to be 4 or 5 weeks. An option came to our attention. Tim Lally has a process. They order the cars. They have their own upfitting group there, and pretty much you go pick up a police car, you put on details, put a radio in, and you can put it on the road that day. So calling around for 2024 prices, 2024 is around 67,000 out the door. And that's, again, with all the equipment. So they were ordering them, if I would be until April, another 4 or 5 months for them to outfit them. The person who works there told me there were 2 that Summit County ordered, but they weren't able to follow through on. With the difference in the year of the cars, the 23 instead of 24, and equipment prices going up, it's actually $90,000 less each, so it's $18,000 savings, obviously, for the 2 of them. I brought that up to the mayor at the time, and this is what we were gonna be looking for to get next year, but if we could spend 20 grand and the city could use that money elsewhere. It seemed like a better process. Hopefully, we could have those early as February, or as late as April, so between now and April, they have 4 new cars. If we can move a couple of the ones that are 90,000 to our backups, and maybe a couple of the backups we could put through on gov deals, that we've been very successful in getting some, pretty good money out of them. So, that's obviously not a short story, but that's as much information as I have on that. But the cars are needed. We had the one damaged when the officer got hit head on, and 2 on the freeway. So we had 3 totally demolished in the past 2.5 years. They haven't had a good run. Hopefully, we're past that and we can keep these to help everyone out.
Thank you, Chief. Is there any questions for the Chief? Seeing none, on to 111406. An ordinance amending chapter 155, employment provisions and compensation of the codified ordinances of the city of Eastlake, including senior, center, director, the list of positions considered full-time, non-union eligible employees, read as such, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. We don't have a title called the assistant director, and the position as it is done right now is actually attending our director's meeting, managing the building, really should be considered a title director.
Any questions for Michelle? Seeing none. On to 111407, an ordinance to reappropriate for the expenses of the city of Eastlake, State of Ohio, the period beginning January 1, 2024, and ending December 31st, 2024, and declaring an emergency. Michelle?
Thank you. This is something that I come to every year and explain that we have to have a temporary operational budget. It doesn't include capital. It's an operational budget so that y'all can get paid in January as well as the rest of us. So we are required to do something called a temporary budget. It consists of 3 to 4 months of ordinary costs, unless there's something that comes up immediately, let's say the audit, and I have to take people in, and I have to pay them bulk of their fee in March. That would be an example as to where maybe that's heavy loaded in, but I don't need to heavy load most things, it's just a handful. So that's really what this is. It's an operational for a couple of months to get us through until you all have the opportunity to sit down, look at the budget with all the details, etc. But it's required by law. If we don't do it, we're in violation, and you wouldn't be happy because you wouldn't get it done.
Any questions for Michelle? Seeing none, move on to 111408, a resolution authorizing the director, the mayor, and director of finance to purchase radios and all related amenities from Motorola Solutions for the use by the Eastlake Police Department for a total of $25,814 and declaring an emergency.
There's an upgrade going on the radio. Kind of went through this 2012. And radios after 7 years aren't going to be supported any longer. Not politically clear, I think, to any of the chiefs. Like, there's not going to be like a day that all of a sudden they're not going to work, but there are going to be days that one certain model number of, some lower grade models we bought at the time, because we had such a large purchase back then. We're trying to replace a couple of those now, some next year, and, so when that time does come, we don't have a $250,000 bill, that we're getting it, piecemeal between now and then. There's two different models. Unlike the fire department, who does a lot of different communication with other agencies on a day-to-day basis, we don't use that as often, so we don't need the high-end models, because basically we communicate with our dispatch and that alone. This money we had set aside for some other items that didn't cost as much this year, so we're trying to make do with the budget that council has afforded us to be as best prepared for the future as we can.
Any questions for the chief? Being done? 111409, a resolution approving the amendment to Article 5I of the bylaws of the normal self-insurance full INC and declaring an emergency.
Yeah, that was just updating the bylaws for purposes of video conferencing.
That's all I did.
Yeah.
Any questions on that? Move on to 111410, resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a quick claim deed of permanent parcel number 34-A-018-B-00-042-0, declaring an emergency.
This was one of the parcel land before that transaction. It happened to be a 0.1009 acre parcel right between Trader Jack's and East Lake. East Lake Lane is like a little L-shaped parcel that's pretty meaningless, and the relationship with East Lake Lane during that whole process, I think, really helped with everybody. So we're pulling that out of our property and transferring over to them for 1.009. That's all.
Is there any questions, Mr. Clarence? Being none. Council whole committee meeting is adjourned at 7:15 p.m. Calling the regular council meeting of November 14th, 2023 to order at 7:15 p.m. Will Mr. Overstreet please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Katrina.
Here.
Ms. Schmidt. Here. Mr. Overstreet. Here. Mr. Senick.
Here.
Mr. Swanton.
Here. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for the regular council meeting of November 14th, 2023?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Overstreet.
Yes.
Mr. Senick.
Yes.
Mr. Katrina.
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt. Yes. Mr. Swanton.
Yes, motion is carried. Agenda is approved. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular council meeting of October 24th, 2023? Is there a second?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Senick. Yes. Mr. Katrina.
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt. Yes. Mr. Overstreet.
Yes.
Mr. Swanton.
Yes, motion is carried. Minutes are approved. The next scheduled council of the whole committee meeting will be scheduled for Tuesday, November 28th, 2023, at 7 p.m. The regular council meeting immediately following the adjournment of the council of the whole meeting. With no motion, no communication, petition. We've had no committee meetings. We move to recognition of public. Floor is now open to recognition of the public. I remind speakers that all remarks will be directed to the chair and will not involve personalities and limited to 3 minutes per person, 30 minutes total. Remind everybody to be professional and we'll stay in order. Ms. Freeman, speak your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Heather Freeman. I couple things. And before the meeting started, the other gentleman in the audience was questioning why the agenda is not available on the city's website. I asked that question on several occasions. I'm not updating the website with information, to transparent to the public regarding what the council, voting on. You can go back and look at your committee, meeting agendas since like 2022. There's nothing regarding any minutes for the entire year of 2023. There's nothing. We're almost done. The year is done. There's nothing out there. I know Elizabeth probably bothered with me, all these emails are asking her for agenda items and things like that. And I feel like we really need to put that information out to the public, especially since what you guys are now talking about. And unfortunately, I was not at the last council meeting, and I tried to watch the YouTube video to listen to hear about the safety center fund and this idea that council has. I'd love to know more about it, but I can't hear it. You can't hear it when you're sitting in this room. You can't hear the YouTube video. So it's really hard to find out what they're planning on. Thank you for explaining a little bit, Ms. Chanel, regarding some of the money transfers, the resolutions are not available prior to the meeting. I did request, with associated documentation with the agenda and did not receive them. So I don't have the numbers, but from what it sounds like, this resolution number 2 with the transfer funds, we're going to $1.8 million is going into the safety fund. We're planning on spending $200,000 of that already potentially for some engineering work, and I'm just curious how you decided to spend $200,000 on engineering work and what the engineering work is specifically, and if there's been any kind of assessment done on the facilities currently, the fire department, the police department. What do you know about their existing conditions? Have you looked into repairing those, getting them up to whatever the standards are that you're looking to do? I've seen a number thrown out there. You're looking at spending $30 million, and I'd love to know where you think you're going to get that money from. As taxpayers, you're going to have to pay for it. I'm going to need a lot more information for it. I really do. And the way it's going right now, I don't see that coming to me, and honestly, the sexennial evaluations on all of our properties, we know that on average, all of our property taxes are going to go up by 30%. Okay, so we're all going to have additional, taxes on our properties, and then maybe probably do that maybe come to voters asking for maybe bond levy to help cover a $30 million safety building. I just I'd like some more information about that, and just hoping that administration, council will be transparent with residents regarding that and be proactive in getting an opportunity to listen to what they're thinking about and to be there to support.
Mr. President, I'd like to real quick. So I feel like what's happened on social media, this has got ahead of us. And I'm not sure where we're already building buildings. So that's not what the goal was at the last meeting. The $200,000 is to do the assessment that you spoke of, about coming into the building, see the ability to rehab facilities and things along those lines. It costs money to do that. When the mayor's putting out information, and I think that I spoke that night, moving forward, based on some things that happen in communities, we wanted to be totally transparent. There's no goal, there's no agenda to try to keep you out of what's happening. And most certainly, at the end of the day, everybody that's on this side of the table knows in order to get these facilities built, you would have to have a say in that. I already see that there's polls online and whether or not we want this or we want that. We're not there to have those discussions yet. This was to see the feasibility if we need to do those kinds of things. So that $200,000 represents just what you spoke of. Nobody here is saying that the cost are $30 million. Those were just numbers that get talked about, thrown out when you're doing these preliminary things. You're 7 years away. If we do everything goes the way we're supposed to go, we're 7 years away before we start making decisions. These are just preliminary stuff. So I don't know how it got ahead. Nobody in the administration said we're at this point. I think a lot of information got put out that way, but that meeting that we talked about was strictly just to do that feasibility. So that's where we're truly at. So I'm not sure, I most certainly think all of us definitely understand that, you have to have a say in this, and we want that. But I see polls out there about not even to do this yet. And again, those are things that are somewhat frustrating because we want to be transparent. The mayor wants us to be on, above board and all this stuff. We're working very hard to do that. So there's no hidden agenda. There's nothing that's not supposed to be done behind your back or anybody else's back. This is a process. And the process, we're being guided in the process through this architectural agreement. So this $200,000 strictly represents them coming and looking at our building to say, can we refer to these buildings? If we can't, what can we do with this one? But that's where we're at. So I don't know if that helps you or not.
No, I appreciate the explanation on what that money was going to.
Yeah.
The funds, but
I just don't,
like
again,
engineering, $200,000, like that means you're moving forward with something more than.
not at all.
that's
Like I
not-
said, I want to make it clear, because, you're standing there. Nothing gets done without the residents having stays in this. This council and this mayor are not looking to do that. So I'm not sure, like, I don't want you to think that that's what's happening. It's not. We understand that, I've been in the city a long time. I've been here for the stadium. I understand what needs to be done in order to get facilities built, stuff like that. And it's going to happen above board. Again, I'm not sure, like on social media, where all of a sudden now, the administration's doing this, or we're trying to do this, or this happening. There's no hidden agenda. Every step of the way will be very transparent, and it'll be presented to not only council, be presented to the residents, whatever needs to happen. But again, I get a little bit frustrated because, again, I will certainly, I always want to do right by everybody that lives here and the people that I serve. So when I start hearing things that somehow there's a hidden agenda, there's not. I'm telling you right now, there's not. The mayor Morley does not let that happen, and this council won't let that happen either. So that's what make sure that.
And Chief, I didn't mean to imply there was a hidden agenda, I don't think I said.
I mean, when you say something like that, like you
Transparent.
1.8, and you have to be transparent. We understand that. We
Get
get that.
information out to the public so we can.
When it's appropriate, when we get to that point, I think you're going to be part of that discussion.
Then it comes down to basic putting your agenda on the website, and I just hear from one person, I'm not in charge of that, and the other person just don't want to do it, so you can think.
But I don't represent that part. I represent the guy that's trying to do right by this community. And I know you're not challenging me as a director, you're not challenging me as a professional, but I just want you to be clear that, this is, everything's going to be above board moving forward. And if at the end of the day, people don't want that fire station built, I'm okay with that kind of thing. But there's not going to be anything happen that anybody's not going to give a chance to have a say on it. So that's just one to be sure you know.
I
Was,
appreciate
police chief
Just
have a comment? Go ahead. Chief.
just to add on that, I don't know if fire chief still has these feelings, but when we take over the department, the money we're working with is allocated from council in millions of dollars. And I try to work that budget like my own. But when you hear a $200,000 bill for engineering, yeah, that's a lot of money. It's always going to be a lot of money. But if we're doing an assessment for a plot of land that we just inherited, and we want to get a house built, we need feasibility for that. Incrementally, that's going to be a similar price to us individually as it is as a municipality. The amount of money that we spend through salaries and equipment every year is a tremendous amount of money, but the $200,000, albeit a large amount of money for these things, is just going to be times the amount of area we're looking at for the land that we already have without additional purchases. And like the fire chief, we're all just like hopefully the place you work for, we have a loyalty here that, when it gets misrepresented at times by others, we just want to make sure we've all been through that. Definitely him and I have been through the, last 40 years here, so we do want to make sure that never happens again. And I've lived in the city that long myself as well, so, I understand both sides of the debate.
Thank you. Next signed up, Mr. Jazinski. Name and address, please.
Ted RJF, 3542 Monument Drive, Eastlake. Couple of things. First of all, I think there's been more done than what you're telling the people, because it sounds like you've already looked at sites. It sounds like you don't just pull $32 million out of the sky. Somebody had to come up with that number.
That's not true, by the way.
All right, okay, hang on, my turn to speak. So, couple of things, council, I ask you to look at. You represent the people. You represent us. You don't represent the police and fire department. You have to work with them. They're good guys. You have to work with them. You have to work with the administration. But you represent us. Ask questions. I didn't hear how much of that transfer was going to the roads and how much was going to whatever this $200,000 for. I hope you realize that if you spend $200,000, it's gone. If the safety center is not approved by the people, it's gone. You can't even give leaf pickup to the residents, but you're willing to spend $200,000 to review this stuff. I know how it works. Number two is you realize that if there's not, let me just say 15 million, okay? Goes out there, it's not going to be 15 million. It's going to be 15 million plus interest. Neil Burrow said this thing would cost 19 million and it'll cost over 50 million. So take all that into consideration. Interest rates right now are 7%. Now's not the time you can do any of this, to look at any of this. You got to wait till those interest rates drop. Another question. What happens now if you spend that $200,000 and nothing's done? You have to go to the people. Do meetings. I don't know about surveys, but do meetings. Inform the public. If I came up before the meeting, I'm going to say it again. No agendas online. Nothing on there telling the people what this meeting was going to be discussed here tonight. Get that website updated. Talk to the people. Let us know what's going to be on the agenda. Let us know what's going to be discussed. Put dollar amounts in here. Transfer money. How much are you transferring? Okay. Another thing I want you to consider is I worked just temporarily last 3 months in a nice city in Michigan, same size as Eastlake. They were well on their way to building a fire station. It was a Taj Mahal, $11 million. Where does this $30 million come from? If any of you want to take a ride with me, we're both together.
I don't.
Okay, if you want to, I'll show you where the fire station was when the Taj Mahal they built for $11 million. I don't know where all this money is going to come from. The people are not ready to build a new fire station. Look at remodeling.
15 seconds.
Look at remodeling. I'm going to leave you with this. Put the agendas on the website. Let us know what's going on. Look at Zoom. We did Zoom meetings in Michigan. The public would just call in and hear what's going on. Okay? Look at those things.
All right,
Represent us.
okay,
Please.
you're out of time. Thanks, sir. Is there anybody else like to address council? None, we're going to move on. Would clerk please read legislation 111401.
An ordinance to reappropriate for the expenses of the city of Eastlake, state of Ohio, for the period beginning January 1st, 2023, and ending December 31st, 2023, and declaring an emergency.
Will be on first reading. Will clerk please read legislation 111402.
A resolution authorizing the Director of Finance to transfer funds with said funds to be transferred from Fund 101, General Fund, in the amount as listed, into Fund 803, Safety Center Fund, as well as a transfer from Fund 101, General Fund, in the amount as listed, into Fund 402, Road Levy Fund, and declaring an emergency.
On first reading, clerk please read legislation 111403.
A resolution authorizing the mayor and director of finance to accept a donation of $500 from Night Ride Auto Wholesale located at East 367th Street, Eastlake, Ohio, 44095, on behalf of the City of Eastlake Fire Department and declaring an emergency.
Also on first reading, clerk please read 111404.
A resolution authorizing and directing the mayor and director of finance to purchase a 2024 Chevy Silverado 2500 HP work truck for use by the Eastlake Fire Department Emergency Auto Group for a total amount of $54,245 and declaring an emergency.
On first reading, will the clerk please read legislation 111405.
A resolution authorizing and directing the mayor and director of finance to purchase two 2023 Chevy Tahoe vehicles from Tim Loudon Chevrolet SAVE for use by the Eastlake Police Department for a total of $113,811 and declaring an emergency.
On first reading, clerk please read legislation 111406.
An ordinance amending chapter 155, employment provisions and compensation of the codified ordinances of the city of Eastlake to include senior citizen director to the list of positions declared full-time, non-union eligible employee, read as such, and declaring an emergency.
On first reading, clerk please read 11-1407.
An ordinance to appropriate for the expenses of the city of Eastlake, state of Ohio, for the period beginning January 1st, 2024, and ending December 31st, 2024, and declaring an emergency.
On first reading, clerk please read legislation 11-1408.
A resolution authorizing and directing the mayor and director of finance to purchase radios and all related amenities from Motorola Solutions for use by the Eastlake Police Department for a total of $25,814.64 and declaring an emergency.
On first reading, clerk please read legislation 11-1409.
A resolution approving the amendment of Article 5I of the bylaws of the Normal Self-Insurance Pool, Inc. and declaring an emergency.
On first reading, clerk please read legislation 11-1410.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed of permanent parcel number 34A018B000420 and declaring an emergency.
Also on first reading, we have no legislation pending, we have no unfinished business, we have no new business. We'll move on to administrative reports. Let's start with our fire chief, Chief Whittington.
Thank you, Mr. President. So just again, to clarify what I believe to be misinformation. As most people know, Mayor Morley is at home recovering from a medical procedure. Mayor Morley is in charge of the city. The directors are running the department that we have since 1950. He's given us direction. We've had several meetings as director. I know that council president has taken some of his role on. We've reached out to President Spot and had some meetings. But as far as the administrative and operational responsibilities, Mayor Morley is in charge of the city, and we're using Dave in some of the roles that we can as he recovers. Again, I'm not sure, where we're at with this whole stadium or fire station issue. I think that my history is if we're doing projects, there's studies that go on, there's money that has to be spent to understand whether or not something needs to be done. I'm not sure where it got ahead of us. I'm a little frustrated because again, I'm not sure where the things that have been discussed tonight by some of the residents where we've gotten to this point. And I will certainly we'll work with council and the mayor as far as moving forward on what's doing right. And I most certainly don't think that anybody's committed to numbers. Part of this study is to figure out where we would build, what's the options where we build, how that would look. There's a lot that needs to be discussed before any decisions are made. So some of the numbers that get thrown out preliminary, those mean nothing because we don't know anything at this point. So again, I hope that clears up some of that for anybody that has any questions. And again, moving forward, we'll continue to operate as we normally do in this community, and I appreciate Council President Spotten's input and the direction he's given us, and we're working together, and I think that, we keep moving this city forward as we go. Other than that, questions.
Any questions for the fire chief? Seeing none, we move to police chief, Chief Mike.
I appreciate the legislation going forward for the cameras and the radios. I know it's 2 more readings. Obviously, we're just trying to stay ahead of things as much as we can. I spoke to President Spotton, and by next council meeting, we should have 3 new officers that are sworn in. 2 who left the agency, and 1 was for a position that we had planned for at the beginning of the year. 1 officer is coming from another agency with about 8 years experience, but he grew up in Eastlake. Another is a security officer with Cleveland Clinic, and the third is an officer from Mentor on the Lake. We have a couple years there part-time. Looking forward to getting you guys started into the process. Next will be a hire for in January, and a second in January, and we go to the academy. My goal is that when I was promoted, I had 30 officers on the department. If things all go as planned, and we can do another hire maybe in April. I'm hoping to hand that off to the next chief come September. So, working to get that done, and we appreciate the support of the, council and the community, and open for questions.
Any questions for the police chief? Seeing none, thank you. Who's our chief building official, Mr. Mann?
Thank you. I just let you know that, there will be no, BZA or planning commission meetings next week. We did receive plans from Pizza Loco. They are gonna be at basically at the Y where Lakeshore, Roberts, and Beechwood are. It used to be an old ice cream store. You might have seen they have already started things on the outside. The plant has come in for the inside now. So hopefully they can open up in a few months, let's say, hopefully. And with that, that's, all I got.
Any questions for Mr. Mann? Seeing none, who's our finance director, John Chanel?
I've been busy preparing legislation for all these adjustments, so that's pretty much in my report.
Any questions? None, who's our law director, Mr. Clammer?
Thank you, Mr. President. On the discussion that hasn't brought up, Mr. Freeman brought up, there was also, just so you know, I mean, you could get the recording, but there were a couple council people that were definitely insisting to consider rehab options or remodeling options in comparison to the new construction. They promised that they would perform those analyses as well, so that was accounted for, just so you know, to look forward to the future. Again, to remind the residents, we have the ordinances, we have charter and ordinances that deal with the number of votes we need for reading as well as for passing emergency. They are different percentages, 3/4 and 2/3. Although we have a charter provision that references members elected to council, we have a couple different scenarios right now. We have a councilman just absent and we have a vacant spot. But we also have a separate provision in our ordinances that not just uses the percentages, but also specifically uses the number 6 and 5. So as long as we still have that ordinance, we don't have the flexibility in those situations where a council seat is vacant. So that's just so the residents know, that's kind of why things get a little slowed down sometimes. But I know we're having a couple meetings that they tomorrow to try to keep things moving. So I'm open to questions.
Any questions for Mr. Clammer? Seeing none, regular council meeting is adjourned at 7:44.